Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever the fuck you're tuning in. This is our Week 9 Roundup edition of the Blitz, brought to you by Backyard Sports. We missed you last week, but we're back in the saddle this week, playing through a little bit of injury. I'm not just being an arrogant asshole with sunglasses on inside, battling a little bit of a corneal abrasion. So trying to save you all from having to see this trash can that is my right eyeball right now. But Andy, how you doing, man?
Good, better. Yeah, we're both banged up here. Me with the bad back, you with the bad eye.
Yeah.
Raul's in the middle of nowhere. Fuck.
Middle of nowhere, dealing with things he's dealing with. Woof. Anyway, let's dive right into it. We got some big news this week. Carson Wentz has signed with the Rams. Just kidding. We're gonna move on. Week 9. We start the week off with Tennessee and Pittsburgh. A little bit of a defensive battle here. Will Levis, you and I talked about he'd be starting by week 9. He actually started in week 8 and looked really, really good. I thought he looked pretty good again this past week against a Pittsburgh defense that we've talked about. They look good at times. The other times they don't. They can't really stop the run, but they can get after the passer. Levis looked really composed. They just don't have any fucking weapons in Tennessee. Talk to me a little bit about this game. What were some of your takeaways from this game?
I mean, I didn't have much. I just, as far as Levis goes, I think it's just kind of one of those things where he got dropped in week 8, and he plays a bad team, and then he gets dumped into week 9, second week, and he plays a more formidable defense, a defense that can be formidable. So, going from Atlanta to Pittsburgh is two different things completely. Yeah, and he's the starter now too. As of today, they've named Levis the starter, and Tannehill is the second string. So, listen, we all knew it was going to happen. I talked about it 2 weeks ago. The whole. I had somebody dead to rights. I wish I could find this guy on social media again, where the Tannehill thing was never going to work with 2 high draft picks in Malik Willis and now Will Levis sitting behind him. So, yeah, D Hop. I think he's liking the change still. I mean,
yeah, they seem to have some chemistry there. It's never a bad idea to just throw to D Hop too, right? Like, dude, still kind of a freak of nature. Still one of the better options at wide receiver in the NFL. Not quite the top dog that he had been for a few years, but I like Will Levis. I liked him coming out of college. I was a little surprised he ended up with Tennessee, considering they had taken Malik Willis the year before, but it was clear that they saw what they needed to see from Malik Willis, and it wasn't what they wanted to see. And they are still right. As of this offseason, they were still looking for the successor to Ryan Tannehill. They tried to trade Tannehill away, couldn't quite do it. That contract's excessive, but yeah, it feels like they seem to think that they found their guy. I think they found their guy. Like I said, I liked Levis coming out of college, but I'm excited to see how things progress. There's some news this week that the Patriots are eyeballing the potential to kind of poach Vrabel away from Tennessee, which would be an interesting process because obviously he's under contract. They'd have to trade for him. There's the Bill Belichick consideration. Everything seems like it's falling apart in New England. But I just want to remind people also, like, Pittsburgh was kind of dead to rights a month ago. I think most everybody was like, maybe this Pittsburgh iteration isn't going to work. I had talked during our lead up. I picked them as a playoff team because I thought all of the effort and all the resources they put into the offensive line was going to pay off for them, and it didn't for about five weeks. And then ho hum, look up, and suddenly Mike Tomlin's got the boys playing well, and they're right there in a playoff spot in a very tough AFC North.
Yeah, no, Mike Tomlin doesn't like to miss playoffs, does he?
Right.
Nobody really does, but I mean, Mike Tomlin does not. He does not miss the playoffs. So I think their schedule is going to get a little tougher from here, but
yeah,
we'll see. We have a team that they're capable of playing really good defense. I don't really want to say much about their offense, but listen, if you can score 17 points, that defense can probably, maybe not every week, but they have the ability to hold teams under that. So
yeah. Yep. You're going to win a lot of games in Pittsburgh if you can score 17 to 20 points. That's for sure. All right, well, let's shift gears over to Kansas City and Miami. This looked like it was going to get out of control. It looked like it was going to be a boat race, that it was going to be a blitzkrieg, play on words there because they played in Frankfurt, Germany. But Miami made a game of it. And I don't know if this was more Kansas City took their foot off the gas or Miami, remembered that they were still playing a football game. But this got interesting late because Miami had the ball twice with under 4 minutes to go with chances to go in and tie the game up, and they couldn't finish the deed. Kansas City's defense is pretty good. But what's going on with Kansas City's offense, man? I think we've all just been wait for them to figure it out. By the end of the season, it's going to be fine. We're in week 9 going into week 10. Sam Howell has the same, basically, passing stats as Patrick Mahomes. And I don't think anybody's talking about Sam Howell as a Super Bowl contender, right? So what's going on with this Kansas City offense? And do you still have belief that by week 15, 16, 17, they're going to be fine?
I mean, I think they're going to be fine because they're still winning games. I mean, they dropped that game to Denver, but I mean,
that was a weird game.
Denver showed us they were an NFL team, I guess. I don't. That one was strange, but no, I think they found a different way to do it because I think what we're expecting when we say, obviously, and correct me here if I'm wrong, the offense will figure it out. By that, we mean somebody's going to emerge from the wide receiver group as a reliable target. Hasn't really happened yet. And we saw what Miami just did to Travis Kelce. More teams are going to do that. There's fucking 3 guys around him constantly. They're just not going to let him decide the game. So, Mahomes was able to spread it out a little bit. That quick strike on that first possession was huge. If they can come out if the Chiefs can come out and score on you in their first possession and then play a little keep away and a little offense and that defense, keeps being charged up, that's great. But, I mean, to stifle Miami's offense, I mean, that's big business. And, obviously Miami – there's some questions there that we'll probably talk about in a second. But, yeah, Kansas City, I think they just keep figuring out. They figure it out, and it's not in the way we think they're going to, but they get the job done.
Yeah, they're really leaning on that defense, and Spags has got that defense playing well. I think coming into the season, we were all wondering who's going to be that wide receiver. Is it going to be Rashee Rice? Is it going to be somebody else? Is Kadarius Toney going to figure out how to catch a football, right? He showed us in week 1 that he still doesn't know how to do that, but yeah, let's switch gears. Let's talk about Miami. This is a team that has dominated bad teams. They hung 70 on the Broncos, and they've really beat up on bad teams. They've played 3 good teams, and they have 3 losses to those good teams. What's going on with them? Are they fool's gold?
I think. So you have this garage with a bunch of Ferraris, right? And that's exactly what they have. And, those Ferraris are going to beat the shit out of you until about November or December, unless Raul would correct us if it was Texas weather. But, I mean, around these parts or the whole eastern fucking, northeastern states, those Ferraris don't get you much in the winter.
They've got 3 divisional opponents that play in winter weather.
Yeah, we're seeing, I didn't think the offense was terrible, but they weren't great either. No. And there was some miscues there. And the defense just doesn't get the job done. You look at the 21 points against KC, and I will give them credit for what they did with Kelce, but if that was a team with a capable wide receiver or 2, and you're queuing on one guy, you're done. So I just Miami's got to figure it out. We saw this against the Bills, and who else did they lose to? We were just talking about it the other day.
Yeah, Niners?
No, it wasn't the Niners.
No, I forget now.
Was it? Did they play? Who the hell did they play? I don't know. A team with a winning record, though. So
yeah, they've played 3 teams with winning records, lost to them all.
Yeah, it was I got to look this up now because I'm annoyed. But yeah, it's just one of those teams. I could say this a bit about my team as well. Like,
Eagles.
Go up and beat the shit out of bad teams, and then get your ass kicked whenever you played somebody good. I mean, they beat the Panthers, they beat the Patriots, they lost to the Eagles, they lost to the Chiefs, they lost to the Bills, they beat the Giants, they beat the Broncos, they beat fucking the Chargers. Might be their only okay win, and they gave up 34 points in that game, and that was week 1 when the
Chargers are a fucking enigma.
Well, and they were doing the thing they did the first 3 weeks where they were terrible. But I don't know if you can trust Miami, because now they've proven that like they're in a really nice shiny box, but the product inside might be shit.
Yep.
I can't hang my hat on that team, and I picked them to win this. I was like, this is where Miami's going to finally get rid of that stigma that they can't beat a good team. They're going to beat the Chiefs, and now they score 14 points. That's crazy.
Yeah. Woof. All right, moving on. We had an astronaut win a game this weekend for the Vikings. Josh Dobbs, who joined the team on Tuesday, had to learn the playbook, wasn't even the starter. Jaron Hall goes out with an injury, and they were behind, and he brings them back, throws a touchdown on the final drive there for Minnesota to win the game 31-28. And then we find out 24 hours later, Josh Dobbs has been selected to lead a team into space. So Josh Dobbs, fucking astronaut, rocket scientist. He did study rocket science at Tennessee. We all kind of knew that when he was a collegian, but what a big win for him. And we talked last year a lot. Geno Smith said he didn't write back when people were writing him off. Josh Dobbs is a guy who just he's bounced around. He's on his 3rd team this season. He's on his 8th stop, and he's been to multiple stops at the same place, like Cleveland twice, Pittsburgh twice, been all over the map. And this season, it seems like he just keeps playing good football. He had Arizona in a lot of games. They had won a game mostly because of his legs and his arm. And then he comes in for Minnesota this weekend, who we talked about it 2 weeks ago, that Minnesota was only a game out of a playoff spot 2 weeks ago. They're in a playoff spot as of today after a terrible, terrible start. They lose Kirk Cousins. You don't expect them to start winning games, but they're 2-0 since Kirk shattered his Achilles. Do you think Josh Dobbs can take this team places?
No. I mean, I know, and it's nothing against Dobbs. I didn't think Minnesota was that good of a team to begin with. They were struggling with Cousins, and Dobbs isn't better than Cousins. Brings a different dynamic to the team. He can run the ball. It's crazy. I didn't even know if he was going to play this week. Coming in, I
don't think they expected him to.
Right, and I don't know. I just don't know what Minnesota's doing though. I don't know why. I figured that they were going to be in sell mode anyways, and then when Cousins got hurt and Jefferson was gone, I was like, oh, they're definitely going to be in sell mode. But now it's like, are they trying to fucking get in the playoffs? Because that's weird to me. I don't think
might be back this week.
I don't think this team can compete for a championship. So sometimes it's just better to be completely out of the loop if you can't compete for the championship. Why be the 7th best team in your conference?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's puzzling to me what's going on with them. But yeah, I don't know. I think Dobbs can play football. I don't know. If the expectations begin to be high for Minnesota and Dobbs, where will he be then? That's my biggest, wonder here. So we'll see.
Yeah, maybe more confusing is Atlanta's misusage of their star players. They continue to just ignore Kyle Pitts, ignore Bijan Robinson. Taylor Heineke had a good game this weekend, and they wasted it on just bonehead decisions late in this game, giving Minnesota more chances. Atlanta's bad. It's a bad roster, but I think they have a worse coach running the show. Arthur Smith should not be a head coach in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're going to be tempted to run the ball with these guys, these other young guys that aren't Bijan Robinson, you should have traded them.
Yeah.
There's other guys that can be your backup running back. So if there's ever any question marks in that depth, just take it out of the equation. And I think they could have gotten something for Algier, right? I mean, the guy doesn't suck, but again, I'm with you there.
Last year, didn't he?
Yeah, they're great up. And I mean, the only thing that stopped him was where Atlanta drafted. I mean, that's he looked like he was going to be their franchise guy.
Yep.
At the running back position. But yeah, I'm with you. I think that the only thing worse than their rosters is the people running the show, and it's probably not just the head coaching or the coaching staff. It's probably the whole front office. So.
Yeah, for sure. Oh man, Seattle. They go into Baltimore and get absolutely fucking steamrolled. I want to give fantasy managers out there a little bit of a warning. Be careful this week on the waiver wire, because Keaton Mitchell is probably going to be the number one ad this week. Let me remind you of who the Baltimore Ravens are and what they do to the running back position. If you've ever owned a Baltimore Ravens running back on your fantasy roster, you'll know what I'm talking about. They will announce that Gus Edwards is the number one running back and Justice Hill will get 25 carries. I don't know what they're doing. Keaton Mitchell ran for 138 yards. He broke off 2 big ones, 100 of those yards on 2 long runs, a 60-yarder and a 40-yard touchdown run. But he's not going to be the bell cow.
No.
He got garbage time rushes and broke off a couple big ones against a Seattle team that was just outmatched this week. How good are the Ravens, though, man? They're 5-1 against teams with a winning record. And they've outscored those opponents, maybe 5-0, might be 5-0, but they've outscored their opponents that have winning records plus 87.
Yeah.
Is this not the sneakiest, best team in the league or what?
I don't think they're sneaky anymore.
Not anymore, no.
I think at the beginning of the season, nobody would have been surprised if I told you that Baltimore can win 13 games. But nobody would have been surprised if I told you Baltimore only wins 7 games. Yeah. Like, they're that.
Yep.
And Lamar Jackson obviously is, the center of all of this. So him playing well. Before I forget, you said the Gus Edwards thing, and I'm laughing over here. The running back thing with Keaton Mitchell there. I have Gus Edwards in a fantasy league. I didn't draft Gus Edwards. I picked him up. I don't even remember when, but I know that I've had him at least since the Detroit game, which was 3 weeks ago. I haven't played him once in 3 weeks just because of what you said. I don't know what I'm going to get from him. I would have gotten 20, 28, and 17, but I didn't play him any of those 3 weeks because I don't know what they're going to do with Hill. And now we got a third guy in the mix.
Right.
So,
they've got a 4-3 guy now, Keaton Mitchell, who's healthy, who was good. He was fine in the preseason, but yeah, you can't trust.
Well, there's always 3 because at the beginning of the season it's Dobbins, and then you still had Hill, and you still had Gus the Bus there. So it's like, which one of these guys? And Gus Edwards did all of this on 5 fucking carries.
Yeah.
He scored 2 touchdowns. So
I
mean, obviously he's a threat in the pass game too. But yeah, Baltimore is a weird team and a scary team.
Yeah,
maybe the best team in the AFC. Like it's crazy to think, right? Because I don't think anybody would have picked them to win the AFC outside of Baltimore, but they beat the absolute dog shit out of Seattle and Detroit. I mean, they combined to beat those guys like 80 something to what, 9?
9, I think. Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and quietly, Lamar has kind of got MVP numbers. He's got numbers similar to his MVP season. And I don't think a lot of people are talking about Lamar right now, but man, Baltimore is fucking scary.
Well, because a lot of those people would be fucking having to shut the fuck up after bitching about Lamar getting paid.
Yeah,
he wasted money.
True. They don't want to admit they're wrong.
Ravens fan. He thought that the one dipshit should have been QB. Who the hell was the guy that started last year?
Oh, Hundley.
Yeah, and he's not the only one that felt that way. So there's definitely some scrutiny of Lamar Jackson's contract, and now it's like, well, this is why.
Maybe they knew what they were doing. Pretty well-run organization there in Baltimore, that's for sure. All right. Browns blanked the Cardinals 27-0. I don't know that anybody would really be surprised by the Cardinals not scoring points. They started Clayton Tune For anybody who doesn't know, Clayton Tune played his college ball at Houston. If you didn't know that, I'm not surprised. They didn't expect him to play at all this year. If it was going to be anything, it was going to be tank time in the second half of the season, and they were just going to let him play. Kyler Murray's back. Barring a setback, he'll play this week. But the Browns defense, man, they are scary. Setting aside the one weird anomaly game against Indianapolis where both teams almost scored 40, this Cleveland Browns defense is fucking scary. And they go and they shut out the Cardinals. It's not easy to shut teams out in the NFL, right? Like a few times a year, you'll see a shutout. So no matter who's starting at quarterback on the other side, pitching a shutout's a big deal. Do you put much stock in this game, though, for Cleveland? This felt like a real transition for Arizona from Josh Dobbs got us some draft capital. Now we're just waiting for Kyler Murray to come back so we can figure out what next year looks like. Cleveland caught him at a good time. Is Cleveland a contender in the AFC North?
I think I'm pretty sure when we did our, beginning of the season, I picked Cincy to win. I think I picked Baltimore to take a wild card, and I know I wrestled with Cleveland.
Yeah.
This team's 5-3.
Yeah.
And they missed 3 weeks of Deshaun Watson, basically 4 weeks of Deshaun Watson, and they're without one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in the NFL, and Nick Chubb. And Watson, I know Watson's season thus far has seemed completely miserable, but he wasn't bad the first few weeks when he played. And Sunday he goes out there, throws for a couple hundred yards, a couple touchdowns, doesn't really make any mistakes. He gets Cooper loose. Cooper goes for almost $150.
Yeah. And
between Ford and Kareem Hunt, they're kind of a good Band-Aid in the defense. With that defense, if you can get something out of the offense, it's another teams. I think if they can score 20 points, 17, 20 points,
yep,
it's the story of that fucking division outside of Cincy, right? So, yeah, I don't know, man. The Bengals might have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, they spotted everybody 3 weeks. They might regret that toward the end of the season. Yeah, it's crazy. The AFC North right now, I believe their combined record is 26-13, I think. And they're 5 games clear of the next best, or maybe even 6 games clear of the, I think NFC East is the next closest with the overall record. And of course, that's skewed by the Eagles being 8-1 now. So, yeah, the AFC North is tough, man. Tough. Cleveland's got that defense, though. That defense travels. Other than, like I said, that Indianapolis game that got a little weird. They've been fucking stout on defense. Myles Garrett's scary. Ooh, Rams, Packers, 20-3. As I mentioned at the top of the show, the Rams are out looking for a quarterback. It seems Stafford, that injury, God damn, excuse me. Not sure what's going on there in terms of long-term diagnosis, but bringing in Carson Wentz, they're trying to get some veteran presence there. Green Bay catches the Rams at the right time, 20-3. Any real takeaways from this game?
Other than I don't know week in and week out what the Rams or the Packers are going to be. I have nothing. They both elude me.
I'll tell you, man, my dynasty fantasy team is fucking hurting with Cooper Kupp not getting any touches. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Last 3 weeks, man, he's been
ripping in there throwing the ball. The dude sucks.
Yeah,
and I don't know what the deal is with Stafford. We have no idea what we'll get from Wentz, so could continue to be a shit show.
Yeah.
Where's the fucking 35-year-old rookie?
Yeah.
Fucking Stenson time.
Oh, the elder statesman. Oh, Houston, Tampa. Big takeaway from this game. Holy shit. And of course, I'm facing him in fantasy this week, and he throws up a fucking 50 burger. CJ Stroud lit up the scoreboard, set the rookie record for yardage, tied the rookie record for passing touchdowns in a game. 477, 5 tugs, game-winning drive. The dude has 1 interception on the year. Ooh, the Panthers might have gotten this one really wrong, huh?
Yeah. And I work with a guy who's a Panthers fan who wanted Stroud. So he's 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 in his fucking
in his feelings.
He's in it. No, he's in his I was right arc. He has been for weeks, and I haven't spoken to him since Sunday, so I can't. Maybe I'll run into him tomorrow. I can't wait to hear, because I know he's fucking gonna be looking for me as soon as he sees me.
Fucking told you.
Because I was trying to give him, like the encouraging young talks, like
Bryce Young will be all right.
I saw some things. I was never disagreeing that maybe Stroud was the better option, but yeah, no, it's electric, and I'm glad that game was a game it switched over to on my network because I got to watch the end. And out of necessity, because of injuries and bye weeks, I had to start Tank Dell this week, so that was cool. I
want to make that point really quick, right? Like, he's doing this, and I bet you the casual football fan can't name one of their wide receivers or their tight end. And he's fucking lighting up the scoreboard with Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Josh Owens, and Dalton Schultz.
Though, the thing,
and they can't run the ball.
The thing about that is,
we thought they were going to lean on the running game this year because they had a good running game last. They can't run the ball this year.
Pierce fucking sucks. Oh my god, that's a guy that I was like a no-brainer. You tried to trade me for him last year in the Dynasty League. Do you remember?
I did.
That? You offered me Derrick Henry, and I was like, nah. I got to keep him. He's young. He's cheap to keep.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't.
He gets me nothing. I would have never been able to keep Henry anyways, but so that was a huge part of it. But it's crazy. And I do think for his weapons, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and Schultz, sneakily, that's a lot better than what it really sounds like. But the kid's good.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud is good. He can play. I mean,
isn't that what the best quarterbacks do, though? They make everybody around them better.
Yeah, I'm baffled by it. It wasn't that I necessarily thought he was going to suck, but I mean, we think back to this draft, and at first it was Stroud and Young, and then you saw Richardson pop up there, Will Levis popping into the mix. There was a point where it was like, I don't even know who's going to go first.
Yeah.
And then if it is Young, who knows? For a while there was like, who the fuck knows who goes next? And then obviously when the draft comes, we watch Will Levis sit there forever too. But
yeah,
and Richardson went from like a fucking third rounder all the way up to a top 5. At one point, people were saying he's going to go first.
Right.
And in the small sample, it looks like he would have been the better option too. I mean, Bryce is too small. That's going to be the issue there, I think. And Carolina they're not any good, but that dude is smaller than I thought he was.
He's a tiny, tiny dude for sure. Yeah, CJ's going to break the fucking Ohio State quarterback stigma. That's for sure. We've talked a long time about how Ohio State can't put a good quarterback in the NFL. All these guys excel because of the Ohio State system, and they can't play in the NFL. CJ Stroud looks like he's about to break that fucking mold in spades. For sure.
And he does it with no emotion on his face. He's
so even keel. Yeah.
Nothing there.
He's so even keel, man. Oh, it's crazy. He's fucking good. He's fucking good. Oh, Washington, New England, and this is a weird game. So Washington gets out early, and then we get a turnover, and just Ron fucking making Ron decisions, and we end up pulling this out, right? And I don't want to poo-poo on a win too much, but I'm going to give you a scenario which is a microcosm of the Ron Rivera era since he joined Washington, and mostly when he was with Carolina as well, with the outlier being one season where they went to the Super Bowl because they had the best roster in football. The end of the first half, Sam Howell completes a pass inside the 5. We have 3 timeouts, mind you, all 3 timeouts. Instead of calling one with 3 seconds left on the clock, Ron says, run the hurry up. So they get to the line of scrimmage. Sam calls a play at the line of scrimmage. They end up running the play. Sam makes a mistake. I don't want to let Sam off the hook. He makes a mistake, throws back across the field, across his body, ends up throwing a pick. But why are we taking 3 timeouts to the locker room? You got the ball inside the 5, 3 timeouts. 20-some seconds left. You should exhaust all of those timeouts unless you score on first down. It's so fucking ridiculous to me that Ron is this bad and this incompetent. My only fear is that we're going to end up winning fucking 9 games, steal like the 7th fucking playoff spot. He's going to save his fucking job. Like, oh, it's just a nightmare. We should have beaten the Patriots by 3 touchdowns. But we just cannot figure out how to manage in game. We are just miserable on the sideline. Just miserable.
Yeah, I didn't check any of that game out. That was the other game that I was getting locally at 1, and I was like, no, I'm not watching. I just watched fucking New England the week before. I didn't want to do it again.
No, I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
So I the Philly Dallas game was what I was watching, so I didn't even bother to turn over. I was seeing it. I was like, oh, it's fucking seemed like it was 20-17 for a while.
Yeah, it was the whole fourth quarter was like just punt.
Well, Mac Jones sucks, so at least there's that.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Anyway, let's move on from that fucking abortion and talk about New Orleans beating up on Tyson Bagent. 24-17. New Orleans is back atop the NFC South. The NFC South is the NFC South. Anything from this?
I mean, nothing other than the fact that I think the Bears were winning this game early, I thought, right?
Yeah,
was that again another game I didn't watch, but
they were up early.
Just horrible, awful. They're not good. And I mean, Fields might be back this week. And they might get the running back too might be back. Fuck says the young kid there.
Davis? Roshan Davis?
Escaping me. Maybe. Is it? No, it's not Roshan. I don't know. I don't remember his name. Anyways, looks like they'll get Fields back. Looks like they may get their starting running back, whoever the fuck that was. And then, you got Foreman's played okay. They brought in Sweet on defense. I don't understand that move.
Oh,
Herbert. Khalil Herbert. Yeah. So, getting those 2 guys back may help. Like I said, they brought in Sweet. I don't know. Oh, the game plan is there. He seems like a guy you bring in because you think you're good. Thanks, Aaron. I don't get it. And then they immediately signed him, which was great because I was under the impression that Chicago was going to trade to bring him in and then lose him at the end of the year. But, I don't know, man. I can't say that I hate that the Bears are doing dumb shit, but
they're a weird team. The last like 10 or so months, they've been making moves as if like they're this close, right? Like DJ Moore is a fine player, but is he the missing piece on your team? Like, are you going to keep him long enough for him to make a difference on your team? Probably not, because your offensive line is dog shit still. Montez Sweat, like, I think he's a great player, and I was a little bit disappointed that Washington let him go, but we haven't done anything with him or Chase Young, so it's probably time to move on. The Bears got themselves a player there, but also, again, like, is he the missing piece on your defense? No. Your defense isn't any good. I don't know. They're making weird decisions. I don't think that regime's going to be there next year. I think they're going to clean house. I think Jim Harbaugh is probably going to leave Michigan and go coach the Bears. They're probably going to get Caleb Williams, and that'll be a hard reset, I think, for the Bears. I just don't know. These last few trades that they've made, it's weird to me that they're making these moves almost like they feel like they're just really close. It's almost like Aaron Rodgers left the division and the Bears were like, hey, it's our turn. It's our turn. Like,
well, that is what happened if you look at the fan base. I mean, I read all summer is how like the Bears were going to win this division.
Right.
It's Bears division now, and I'm like, what? How? Like they may be the worst team in the division, and we're seeing that. Tremaine Edmonds there from is that his name from the Bills?
Bills, yeah.
That's another one. Like,
yep.
I don't. They're gonna have these like
three guys. It's almost like they tried to make up for trading away Roquan Smith. Like, oh fuck, we made a mistake.
Right. But what are they gonna do with these guys? I mean, if we are starting over, like you're not gonna want DJ Moore and Edmonds and Sweat's contract around. Like, you know, they're already going to have a Justin Fields issue to deal with. So, yeah, it's weird stuff in Chicago.
Yeah. Very strange. All right. Another kind of ho-hum, Colts, Panthers, Frank Reich taking on his former team. 2 pick sixes by the same Colts defensive player, first time in their franchise history, against the aforementioned Bryce Young. He's been struggling pretty mightily. It's not entirely fair to just say Bryce Young is completely a bust, because that Panthers offense is pretty devoid of talent. The offensive line is bad. They can't run the ball. Adam Thielen has had a little bit of a resurgence, but I guess when you're behind in every game and just throwing, Adam Thielen's going to get catches because he's the only reliable guy on that offense. And if I'm a rookie quarterback and I've got Adam Thielen to throw to, probably going to throw to him as much as possible. Anything from this is kind of 2 teams that are, you know, we're going to be talking about them rebuilding for the next couple of years.
Yeah, no, I mean, Carolina is another one of those teams you heard about in the offseason, like, oh, this team, they're going to win their division. And I was like confused, like, do I know that little about Carolina, or people are crazy? You know, they bring in, like, Miles Sanders is not a good running back. I don't know how you didn't see the just barely being okay in Philly behind that line.
Behind a great offensive line.
Like, if that's not your fucking sign, I don't know what is. Adam Thielen, fine, great. But, like, when he went there and I saw people being like, you're going to see that he's still elite, and I'm like, what are we talking about here? Like, he's a good player.
Yeah.
DJ Chark, like, I hated to see him go from Detroit. He's a good player, but, like, he's not going to make that much of a difference. And the defense is bad.
I think everybody saw last year they were sneaky good in the pass rush on defense last year, and everybody's like, oh, that's going to be their calling card this year, and it just hasn't been. And you can kind of get that some years. Brian Burns was in a contract year, so he was fucking playing out of his mind. But he hasn't been that guy this year. That defense hasn't been what they were last year. And I think people saw how close they were last year in a division that was just awful, though. People forgot how bad that division really was. I mean, your division winner was under 500. If that doesn't tell you the story, like, Carolina's not a fucking contender just because of that. Woof.
I mean, yeah, and that division this year, I mean,
it's bad.
It's not going to be, you know, are we going to make the mistake of going into next season with these weird expectations? Because, I don't know, man.
Yeah, Jesus. I know the Bears are loving seeing the Panthers lose a bunch of games, though. That's for sure.
For sure.
All right. Giants, Raiders. A lot of crazy news coming out around the Raiders and the Josh McDaniels firing. And Antonio Pierce takes over as the head coach less than a week after using McDaniels' Patriots and Antonio Pierce's Giants as an example for why the team needs to come to the ballpark ready to play, ready to win. And Josh McDaniels, like, jumps all over him and says, never do that again. Mark, the fucking weird. Has anybody in the history of the world ever looked more like fake as a human being than Mark Davis? But he shit cans Josh McDaniels, cleans house, and Antonio Pierce is promoted. And we see an instant boon from the Raiders. They play a much better game, albeit against the Giants. Saw Max Crosby get after the quarterback. Daniel Jones got hurt midway through this game. Looks like he's going to be out for the season. And they had Tommy DeVito playing quarterback for them to finish out the game. Raiders beat them up. Do you see any juice for the Raiders the rest of the way? I don't know how you felt about them really coming into the season. I know you didn't have them as a playoff team necessarily, but does this Antonio Pierce thing have some legs for them the rest of the way?
I don't think it has enough legs to make a difference just because the team's not very good. The Garoppolo thing to me, I don't know why teams keep doing this. Like, it's not a thing. It doesn't work. He's not good. And we just need to accept that. So you move off of Derek Carr, who to me is better than Garoppolo. I mean, I don't think there's a terrible separation between the two. However, I'll take Carr. But yeah, I like what Antonio Pierce brings. When that was the promotion, I was like, okay, like I can see him as being a guy the players want to play for, like a D'Amico Ryans or like a Dan Campbell. So like somebody like that they really like. And kind of like a Dan Campbell, I can also see this as a situation where the Raiders aren't smart enough to keep the guy at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see there. And he's got some weeks to go here to show us what he has, but he seems like the type of guy who would make a good NFL head coach.
Yeah.
Now we know that the guys that we think will make great NFL head coaches or good NFL head coaches are often not the guys that ownership in the front office believes in. So, I would point back to Dan Campbell. I know the players in Miami loved him. The fans in Miami loved him. I had a lot of people telling me when he came to Detroit, you're going to love this guy. I'm like, I don't know shit about him. Yeah. But they were right. Miami's front office didn't seem to think so at the time. And, they missed out on a good one there. Miami's front office has done some weird shit before. But yeah, we'll see. I don't think the roster is good enough, though. I don't know if they have the pieces.
Yeah, see. Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to win their division, and he's going to have a chance to start a playoff game at home for New Orleans. But I don't know about Thrive. That offense doesn't seem to want to push the ball down the field. There seems to be a lot of miscommunication. Almost every week, I see a highlight of Derek Carr like yelling at a receiver, like "run" or "do this" or "do that," and like he's pissed off about something. So it's clear that they're not quite on the same page yet. They're in New Orleans. Maybe they'll figure it out by the end of the year. I feel like they've got some talent on offense that they could be good, but they haven't been able to put it together yet. Alvin Kamara's usage rate, I think, is what really kind of hamstrings Derek Carr having a big season. They like to turn around and give him the ball a lot. So I'm not sure with Derek Carr whether they're going to figure it out there in New Orleans or not. All right, moving on. Dallas, Philly, this was a game of inches, literally inches. Dak steps on the sideline trying to get in for a 2-point conversion that would have allowed them to kick a tying field goal at the end of the game. He hits Ferguson at the 6-inch line. And I want to talk to Cowboys fans real quick about this whole catch, yada, yada. No matter where you are on the field, when you are contacted and down, that's where the ball gets spotted. You still have to survive the ground for the catch, but your progress stops where the ball is when your knee goes down. It doesn't matter where you are on the field. I know that Jake Ferguson caught the ball as he was going to the ground. He crossed the line, but his knee was down. The ball was there 6 inches from the goal line. It's not a touchdown. Cowboys fans, I don't know if you missed the rest of the game, but I assure you the refs were not out to get you because there were about a dozen incorrect beneficial calls for the Cowboys during the course of this game. That's not the refs out to get you, bub. As a lifelong NFC East fan, I can assure you that the refs are not out to get you, Cowboys fans. Ever. Never. Doesn't matter who they're playing.
No, they just missed because they're not good. No, I think being an NFL ref is difficult. They did miss that one. I thought it was easy. The problem I think with that play is the tie up at the feet because there was some tripping happening there. So the wrap that comes around from the defender, I think it's so hard to officiate. It's great in a screenshot. I mean, you can see it 10 times out of 10.
If you want to argue PI, we certainly that would be the argument. But I heard a lot of Cowboys fans this week talking about if he has to survive the ground, the ball should be
just
in
the spot. No, yeah, no, right. I'm talking about. I thought he was there.
PI, I think you have a little bit of an argument.
I thought he was there early, but I also thought Ferguson was falling.
Yeah.
Which, when he falls and you're running behind him, in any scenario, what happens to you?
Incidental contact.
So, again, I think they could have called it either way, but it is sometimes comical to hear a Cowboys fan, like you hear any of these franchises, like either like a Yankees fan or
right.
A Lakers fan or somebody complaining about
Which
officiating.
is funny because most Cowboys fans happen to be Yankees and Lakers fans as well.
Like, bro, we've been watching you get away with that for our whole lives. So, like, while you may be correct in this moment, like,
you ain't getting much sympathy over here, bro.
Now, listen, I thought I watched that game. I thought the officiating was pretty fucking terrible. There was a lot of flags in that game, if I do recall correctly. At least early on, there was a shitload. I think there was like 17 at one point.
Yeah. It was ugly.
Yeah, it was just a poorly. But again, the out to get you thing, I don't love. Silver lining for Dallas fans, I thought Dak Prescott looked pretty fucking good on Sunday. Like the step out thing. Listen, that was a bang bang play. He was trying to get where he was getting. He was probably only like 2 toes out. So the positive note with that is Dak was running the ball. I saw him take off quite a few times. So these are good signs. He seemed cool, calm under the pressure. He lost
20 flags for almost 200 yards.
What's that?
20 flags for almost 200 yards
total.
Accepted penalties.
Yeah. 20. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was
and I feel like when I looked, there was more against Philly, but we all know that can be skewed too based on what you're throwing. I did, I remember thinking a couple times to myself that Dallas did kind of get boned on a couple of plays. However, years and years and years of the opposite. So and we saw a tush push too, which is always fucking fun.
Yeah, always fucking fun. Yeah, it's a weird thing with Dak, man. And I know, so my brother's a Cowboys fan. So every once in a while I'll get like a soft spot in my heart and actually talk to him seriously about the Dallas Cowboys and kind of what they are and who they are. And I know that for years they were jaded by like Romo would make a mistake at the worst possible time or just couldn't get over the hump. Something would happen, the Des Bryant drop, yada, yada, yada. It feels like that a lot with Dak as well, where he just makes a mistake in the worst possible time, or he plays his worst game against good teams, like that sort of stuff. He looked all right this weekend, though, I thought. He looked like he was willing to, as you put it, run the ball a bit more. That play along the sideline is tough, too, because he's got a fucking 280-pound linebacker bearing down on him as he's trying to turn the corner to extend the ball. And for all of Dak's athleticism, he's not the most nimble, stop on a dime, cut at hard angle guy. He's a big-bodied quarterback, and he can move, but he's not a guy that's going to lower his hips and make that cut up the field with a guy bearing down on him. So for him to get 2 toes out of bounds, that's tough. It's tough, but it's unfortunate for sure.
I think oftentimes we think because a guy can run that they're like some running quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, we saw it again at the end of the game too, where he threw to CeeDee Lamb fucking 4 yards short. I don't know what. I think it was supposed to be some sort of hook and ladder, but they never had anybody to lateral to. Not really sure what they were doing on that last play where Dak threw to CeeDee at like the 3. It was weird. Yeah. All right. Bengals, Bills. I know this one near and dear, heartbreaker for my dad. The Bengals just, man, they come right out like gangbusters and score on their first 3 drives. And the Bills kind of acquitted themselves late in this game, made it respectable, lost by 6 here, but Bengals look like the fucking real deal. I don't know what's going on in Buffalo, and I'm in a group chat with a bunch of Bills fans, and I had some conversations and listened in on and read in on some of the conversations they were having. I think people are tired of Sean McDermott, and I don't think I anymore have ammunition to disagree with them. I've always kind of had an ability to play devil's advocate with Sean McDermott while also agreeing with them that I think Sean McDermott is a problem. But his statement after the game where he said that they got away from the tempo offense because, quote, we were trying to get to other offensive approaches, end quote. What is that? The up-tempo was working. So you just go away from it because you wanted to try something against the Bengals? You don't try things against the Bengals. You try things against the Broncos. I don't know what the fuck we're doing here, Sean. Like, I've been for a long time blaming Ken Dorsey because it feels like their offensive approach, they refuse to run the ball. They just kind of like draw some shit in the sand and just say, hey, Josh, go make a play. But hearing McDermott say that after the game, holy fuck. It might start with him and end with him, honestly.
Yeah, I've been the president of the Sean McDermott's not the guy. I said it on the first show this year. Like he's not. I've battled Bills fans for like a season and a half about this.
Leaders in here letting McDermott off the hook.
Come on. Here's my thing with McDermott is because it's not all bad qualities. I think that there are certain guys for certain jobs when it comes to head coaches. I think some guys are really good at changing a bad culture and kind of nourishing young players into football players in the NFL. And I think that's what McDermott is. I think he came in, he flipped things around. He made Buffalo a relevant team. I think he knows how to get up onto the surfboard, but I don't think he knows how to ride the fucking waves. Like that's where I'm at with the guy. I don't think he's not. I don't even think he's a playoff coach. No. I don't think he knows how to coach a good team. Just like I don't know if Andy Reid is the right guy to bring, into fucking Atlanta to fix their mess. I think Andy Reid's the guy you hire when they have some players.
I don't know. I think you're right though, right? There are archetypes for coaches and where they fit and what they can do. And I think we're at the point with Buffalo that they need to go find their Andy Reid, right? They've changed the culture. McDermott's done his job. He's done a bang-up job. It's a winning culture now in Buffalo. But they don't have what it takes to get over the hook and over the hump. And I'm going to give you a point blank case in point of what you just said, exactly what you just said. And it's as simple as just saying 13 seconds. We had the lead against the Chiefs kicking off with 13 seconds left. We didn't squib it. We give them the ball at the 25. A touchback is no longer the 20. It's the 25. So they're already 5 yards closer to field goal range. And then we're playing just this weird shell, letting Travis Kelce do whatever he wants in the middle of the field while the Chiefs have timeouts. If that doesn't sum up that McDermott isn't an in-game manager in crucial situations, I don't know what else I can provide for people. That to me is point blank, case in point, what you said. He's a great guy to change the culture, probably not the guy to get them to a Super Bowl.
And part of the problem too is the willingness of the franchise and I'm not saying all of the fans, but a good chunk of the fans to have accepted some of these shortcomings. This team is better than what we've seen the last few years. Yep. But they were so fucking bad for so many years that you were willing to the 13 seconds thing, the Chiefs thing. We talked about it on the show before. The best focal point of this team is losing that game. That's the biggest accomplishment they've had. That's their Super Bowl so far is losing that. Oh, we almost beat the Chiefs.
It was an exciting game.
And because you're the Buffalo Bills, and this is coming from a Lions fan, I understand these things. A lot of this shit's happened in Detroit this year. You are okay to accept things that are not quite okay because your team was so bad for so long. This team's too good. And windows are small, man.
Yeah.
These windows in the NFL are really small. So I hope they're able to do something before it's too late. But I am president of the McDermott is not the guy fan club. I'll fucking conduct that train. You guys want petitions? I got a photocopier. Let's go. I'll help you. I'll jump through a table.
Let's do it. All right. Then we close out the week. Chargers beat the Jets 27-6. I'm going to reiterate what I said last week. I know what I'm getting with the Jets. I trust the Jets. They're not the best team in the AFC East. They may not even be a good football team because they can't score the ball at all. But I know what I'm getting from them. They're going to play hard, tough-nosed defense. The Chargers got away from them late. But this game was literally a one-score game with 16 minutes, I think, left to play in the game. And the Chargers looked like they had they looked like they were going to do what we've seen other teams do with the Jets, which is let them hang around until Zach Wilson finds fucking a unicorn fart on the sidelines and goes and wins a game late. But the Chargers end up finally finding whatever it was that they needed to find to kind of pull away late. 14-6 with like 16 minutes to go in this game. And I was like, are we going to see the Jets do it again? But I know what I'm getting from them. It's ugly football. It's hard to watch at times, but that defense, they're fucking fun to watch, man. They are fun to watch. They got speed, they got big guys, and they got talent everywhere at all three levels. The Williams brothers are fucking unbelievable. The Sauce and DJ Reed on the outside, man, they're fun to watch. Trailing guys all over the field. What else you got from this game, though?
I just think their issue is, regardless, I mean, if it were the quarterback's going to change the landscape somewhat, obviously. Going from Aaron Rodgers to Zach Wilson is kind of similar to going from steak to fucking top ramen. However, the offensive line was always going to be bad this year. Yeah. We knew it coming in. We saw a little in preseason. Rodgers saw it himself in preseason. Like this line, it's not the reason he got hurt. It's just old, but that line is a problem. So, I mean, even with Rodgers, it's tough to say. I mean, I think that they would obviously be better. However, how much better are they? Do they lose this game 27-21? You know, and things like that. So, this team's hard. I've actually started to kind of copy what you said about at least we know what we're getting from this team. Flip that coin, though, and the Chargers, I don't know what I'm getting from this team.
Nope.
I know they can score.
Yep.
They looked like against the Jets they could play defense, but what does that mean to anyone? So
yeah.
I don't know. We'll find out moving forward here. I think the Chargers are a good football team. I don't know if they don't know it. I don't know if Staley knows it. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But you're right. The Jets consistently consistent.
Yep. Couple of window closing comments. Yeah, I mean, the window only stays open for so long. It was such an anomaly that the Patriots had a window open for 20 years, but they had the greatest quarterback to ever do it. So, and we see what's happened since Brady left New England. They're not the same team. So,
well, and how long before Diggs is just like completely like fuck this shit?
I mean, he started to this past offseason.
He's been close.
Yep. It's gonna happen. Peacocks don't change their feathers, man. They don't change their feathers. He dramaed his way out of Minnesota. He's going to do it in Buffalo if they don't start winning.
The biggest thing for me to close with the Bills on my end is like being, from Western New York and, 90% of the people I talk to are Bills fans. Like when the problem isn't always the same one or two things, because the problems I've been told are every fucking thing. It's been Josh Allen. It's been McDermott. It's been they lost Abel. That's been a thing. It's been the offensive line. It's been the defense. It's been the running game. Like it's if it's been every fucking thing, then we know that there's a huge problem here. And I think that it starts at the maybe not the top, but at that head coaching level.
Yep, for sure. All right. Well, before we get to our Week 10 preview, let's do what we do every week here on the show. Dedicate this episode to a fallen service member in our Folds of Honor salute to service. This week's episode goes out to Army Sergeant Christopher Wesley Curry. At the time of his passing, Army Sergeant Curry was 23 from Terre Haute, Indiana. Died May 4th, 2020 in Erbil, Iraq. He was assigned to 3rd Battalion, 21st Infantry Regiment, 1st Stryker Brigade Combat Team, 25th Infantry Division. Army Sergeant Christopher Wesley Curry, we have the watch. All right, well, let's transition into week 10 here and talk about the upcoming games. Start the week off with a real fucking turd fest. Carolina against Chicago. We might get Justin Fields back. We might not. Raul's on the island with Carolina. You and I are on Chicago. I'm assuming this is kind of a home team, best of the worst. Chicago is just a little better than Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for the man. However, yeah, I mean, we've got a combined 3-14 record here between the two teams. I don't know. I couldn't tell you why I picked Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically does Chicago make the first pick with their own pick, or do they make the first pick with Carolina's pick?
Well, I'm kind of thinking to me that I don't think Fields comes back. That's really where I'm at.
You might be
I don't
right.
know if Fields is back this week. So if Fields isn't back, I don't think they can win a game.
Yeah.
I just
maybe. I don't know. Oof. Not a great one for Thursday night. Amazon didn't get a great game this week. Indy New England starts off the Sunday slate. I'm on the island with New England. I don't feel great about it, but I can't imagine you feel great about Indianapolis either.
No, it's another one of those where I don't know. Here, the one thing that I'll hang my hat on with this is I thought about picking New England because they were the home team. Like, that was one of those games, but they seem like they get worse every week.
It's in Germany though, so
right. But yeah, and that's another thing. Like, I don't know, but they seem like it is in Germany, isn't it? Shit,
technically, I guess I don't know.
So I'm glad that didn't decide.
Yeah,
I didn't even catch that it was in Germany. I didn't realize we were there 2 weeks in a row.
Yep.
Crying out loud. Well, you know what? Here's the thing: is I'm not going to waste my Thursday night or my Sunday morning because I'm probably not going to watch either of these games. I really won't. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what Indiana can do.
Yeah,
or Indianapolis can do. It's so tough. Mac Jones just has regressed so much this year. I don't like it.
I saw something today though. It blew my mind because I'm guilty of this as much as anybody else. Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones were in the same draft class in 2021. They have basically like identical overall stats. Now, Mac Jones had a better rookie year. They won a bunch of games his rookie year. But as you said, he has regressed, and we've seen Trevor Lawrence get better since then. But their stats overall for 3 years, 2.5 years are basically the same, with a little bit of a negligible difference in yardage for Lawrence over Jones. But I was flabbergasted to see that because I would have expected Mac Jones had like twice as many turnovers as Trevor Lawrence, but he doesn't. And we talk about Trevor Lawrence as like the future kind of like of maybe even of the league, right? Because the quarterback position is so important. But I don't even think Mac Jones is the future in New England, really. I think if Belichick's gone after this year, their first priority with a new regime is going to be finding a quarterback.
This draft's a good place to do it, too. I mean, so.
Yeah, the poor Germans.
Fuck them.
Well, at least they had Miami, Kansas City last week.
I was going to say, yeah, they
not this week. Not this week. They ain't getting a quality product this week. Yeah, Dad, I think I don't know that they'll make a move midseason, but I do think that there's a real possibility that Bill's out after this year. Now, whether he goes out on his shield and makes Robert Kraft fire him, or if he does the honorable thing and walks away and it's a mutual parting of ways, I do think it's over after this year. I don't think they'll fire him midseason. I did see some rumblings that if they go to 2-8, Ben Volen, it was the reporter out of New England, he said that he thinks that they might fire him if they drop to 2-8 this week. I don't think that they're going to make that move because I do think that Robert Kraft is going to want to honor the Belichick era, right? He's not going to want to fire him midseason. It'll be a big pomp and circumstance thing, kind of like they did with Brady when he came back and yada yada. I think that Robert Kraft is still going to try to hold on to that. So I don't see a midseason firing, but I am I am on board now with this is probably it.
Do you think Bill goes into another head coaching job? So let's just assume that the end of the season, we play out the season with him as the head coach. He's gone. Over the offseason, does he get a new head coaching job? Assuming he wants to. I mean,
so as a fucking decimated Washington football fan, the rumor is that Josh Harris is willing to trade for Bill Belichick. I will cry. I admitted earlier in the group chat with the Bills fans that I will physically break down if we go get Bill Belichick. I don't want him. He's a dinosaur. The time has passed him. Do I think he wants another head coaching job? I don't think so. I don't think he wants to start over anywhere. Could I see him being a GM? Maybe. But I think in the surprise move of surprise moves, I think we see Bill Belichick in the studio doing Bill Cowher, Jimmy Johnson type of stuff, because I think Mr. Stoic that we get as head coach Bill Belichick is a show, because I've seen him in some settings where he's been just talking ball with people. He's a different person. So I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to throw a curveball at everybody. And I'm going to say that I think Bill Belichick ends up either on Fox or CBS in the studio pregame. And we're going to see Bill Belichick's personality kind of shine through.
Strikes me as a Fox guy, for sure.
Fox, probably. That's why I said them first. What do you think? Do you think he gets another job? Do you think he wants another job?
So I was going to go the route of, I think if he wants another job, he has it. I think he gets a job.
I think owners would kind of fall over themselves.
Yeah, I think it's the wrong move, like you were saying. I thought you were saying you were going to cry happy tears, and I was going to no. I don't think it's. Not only do I think he's a dinosaur, I think we've answered the age-old question of, was it Brady or Belichick? I think it was Brady. And we've seen nearly, Vrabel, I'm going to give you a pass here. We've seen nearly every fucking guy that's come out of that tree be terrible.
Yep.
Beyond bad.
Yep.
And that extends further than just coaches, because I had a front office guy, Bob Quinn, come from that tree, and he was fucking awful. So, I think he's fool's gold at this point. I think he's Greg Popovich without the Greg Popovich. And but I think if he wants it, I think he's still there. I don't think he wants it, however. I think he would prefer to be, either not coaching, or I didn't even think about broadcasting. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I think that's where he ends up. And yeah, you're right. I mean, Vrabel is the exception, right, to the Belichick tree. He's been successful in Tennessee. He's had some teams that have competed in the playoffs. He also had a stopover outside of the Belichick tree before he got there, so he had a little bit of exposure to outside of that. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I have heard
Belichick on games though. I want him on a game with Tony Romo, and Romo says something, and he's like,
"What the fuck are you talking about, Tony?
Shut the fuck up, Romo."
That would be so good.
Because he would.
I have heard though that Robert Kraft's dream scenario, Ben Volen, the reporter, did say that rumblings inside the building are that Robert Kraft's dream scenario is Belichick goes out and they go get Vrabel from Tennessee. So that would be interesting if that did transpire.
I mean, maybe
I don't know if Tennessee wants to let him out the door though.
Maybe they have a home for Belichick, up top somewhere.
Maybe president of operations or something.
Yeah, something cool. I mean, you would almost think that Kraft would, kind of be bending over almost backwards to keep him on to Cincinnati. Yeah, I don't know. You think, unless the relationship's bad and we don't know about it, you think keeping him in house would probably be the most ideal. I mean, the guy knows football.
Maybe there's more sour grapes about Brady than
who the hell knows.
It has been reported. There's been leaks out there that Kraft wasn't happy. Maybe there's more to that.
We don't know. We never know.
Yeah. All right. On to Cleveland, Baltimore. We've got a lock. I'm on the island on this one, man, and I'm going to give you my 2 cents, and I'm going to pass it your way because it is your lock. But I'm starting to really trust this Cleveland defense, and I don't know that Baltimore is going to be able to score points. So I'm going with a little bit of a gut check on this one, that I think this could be like a 13-12 win for Cleveland in a defensive battle that I just think that Cleveland defense is menacing. Now, I know what Baltimore's done against teams with winning records. I get it. But I just gut check here. Cleveland, I think they get it done, man. Talk to me, though. This is your lock, 6.5 points.
Yeah, I mean, it was a divisional game. But you got Baltimore's coming off of like 46, 31, 36. I respect Cleveland's defense. I'm not saying they're going to score 35 on them, but I could see Baltimore's defense is no slouch. I could see a real easy like 21-3, 21-9, 21-6 scenario. We'll see. I mean, maybe not, but I thought 6 was pretty easy money. Because I think they win by a touchdown at least. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm nothing against Cleveland's defense. The defense is good. Baltimore just seems like they have too many weapons right now.
Yeah. And they haven't even really got the receivers involved. Odell Beckham has not been the guy. Zay Flowers has had a little bit of a flash here and there.
I don't think that we believe Odell Beckham is ever going to be the guy again.
No.
I mean, you get a little bit of the home cooking here too. Goes into it. Zay Flowers, however, I think Zay Flowers is going to be a hell of a wide receiver.
I think he's got potential. We just haven't seen a lot of it yet.
Well, they're not your traditional drop back and pass the ball offense. So.
No,
and a lot of those situations where they do drop back and pass, Mark Andrews eats up that.
And I think that's part of the problem why Zay Flowers hasn't flourished yet, because Zay Flowers' strength coming into the draft was that he was the best route runner in the draft. Yeah. And that's not traditionally what the Baltimore Ravens do with wide receivers on that offense. It's a lot of Lamar dancing around, some, woo-woo down the field, run the scramble play.
Sandlot shit.
Yep.
I think Flowers, though, what I have liked about him in, some of the small samples is he gets the ball. He makes really good moves with the football. He's decisive. Everything is, like a plant your foot upfield type thing. So
better with the ball in his hands than I thought he was going to be at the NFL level. I always thought his route running was going to be what did it for him, but you're absolutely right. When he gets the ball in his hands, he's better with it than I thought he'd be.
There's something to be said about, the correlation between running a route and being good with the ball after the catch.
Yeah, for sure.
You're doing a lot of safe stuff. So.
Creating space.
Absolutely.
Yep, for sure. Houston, Cincinnati. Obviously, CJ's coming off his historic day. But, man, doesn't it feel like we've talked about this for about 3 weeks now? Doesn't it feel like Cincinnati is in that, hey, we're going to rattle off 8, 9, 10 in a row, put the league on notice that, yeah, we gave you 3 weeks, but here we come? Doesn't it feel like that's what we're in right now with Cincinnati?
It kind of feels like Thanos found the fucking gauntlet, and here we are. We've seen this movie before, right? They did this last year. I don't remember how many they won last year.
Yep.
8, 9, 10 in a row.
Burrow had the whole appendix taken out in spring in preseason, so they were sluggish out the gates. Yeah. He had the calf injury this year. They're sluggish out the gates.
Yeah, I'm here to tell anybody that if you don't believe the calf's good, you're wrong. The calf looks fine.
You missed the game this weekend if you don't think the calf's good.
Running around, it looked a little better than last week, which looked okay. And the biggest thing to me was the first few games, he really only seemed to be able to get it going. When he got it going at all, it was with Jamar Chase.
Yep.
It was the only guy he could get it going with. Like T. Higgins, awful.
Yep.
I think he caught 8 balls for like 100 and some odd yards this week.
Yep.
Burrow's finally, I think when the calf was bothering him, he would just go to his comfort zone. And that was one of the best receivers in the league.
He knew he had a guy that could win early. Right? Jamar Chase is that guy that can win early, and I'm just going to feed him.
24/7, baby. He's always open. Fucking, he's got that 7-Eleven chain. Shit. But yeah, now we're seeing this. Boyd's had moments too throughout the season, but getting Mixon involved, the team and the defense actually looks better than
I actually was just about to say that.
And I would have thought,
Yeah. I thought the defense was going to take a step back. They lost Jesse Bates. They've obviously put a lot of money into the offensive side of the ball, and it has cost them a couple of players on the defensive side of the ball. But a guy I'm surprised hasn't gotten a head coaching gig, and I don't know if it's another scenario like Bieniemy where he just bombs interviews. He's a really good coordinator, but doesn't get a head coaching job. Lou Anarumo has done a fucking bang-up job with that defense, especially this year. They've looked really good defensively, and I expected them to take a step back this year. I thought Cincy, this was going to be the year that we would see they would win games 31-28, and that would be their formula. It's not been. They've been really good defensively, surprisingly. All right, moving on. San Fran, Jacksonville. We're all in agreement here with San Fran over Jacksonville. What do you think has to happen for Jacksonville to knock off San Fran here? Because I think we all agree. At least I'm making the assumption that we all agree that San Fran's kind of pissed off about the last 3 games, and we're going to see them coming out of the bye week really charged up, ready to go.
I felt a little sleazy when I saw that we all picked San Fran because I thought somebody would pick Jacksonville just because San Fran's not been good. They may get Debo back this week, which, maybe missing Debo was a bigger deal than everybody gave credit to. We saw McCaffrey and we see Kittle and Brandon Ayuk, and we're like, Purdy can get by with everything. But Debo is a little bit of that Swiss Army knife. He can run the ball a little. He's definitely the best all-around receiver on the team. Ayuk, he's got that down the field shit, but like Debo's the guy. It's like, I can give you the ball here. I can use you as a tight end. I can use you as a running back. I can use you as a wide receiver.
Yep.
Fuck, you want to come throw the ball? Maybe we'll do that. So maybe that's hurt him a little more. So him coming back is a big thing. But again, I can't help but feel a little cheap by this because, and Jacksonville's at home, right?
And they're hot. They're hot as fuck. They've won 5
hot.
in a row.
They're hot. They're at home, and they're playing a team that's not winning games recently. And it feels a little wrong that we all picked against them. So we'll see. I just have to believe that, A, what you said, San Fran's got a chip on their shoulder about the last few weeks. And then, B, San Fran, to me, is the better team anyways. So what's the line on that? Do you know off the top?
2.5, I think, is what it was. Let me double
check. For San Fran? I would assume they're the favorite, right?
3 now. I think it was 2.5 earlier. Yep. I think if we're gonna point at anything that could be wrong there, I think we're starting to see why Brock Purdy was still on the board at 255. He has limitations, and the film's out. And as you mentioned, they didn't have all their weapons. I think we're starting to see why Debo's so valuable to that team. He does give them a dynamic that they don't get, that not many teams get, right? We haven't seen many players like a Debo Samuel that can beat you out wide. He can beat you in tight in the slot or even lined up close to the line of scrimmage like a tight end. And then you can put him in the backfield and the dude's going to run it down your throat. I've said it for 2 years. I'll continue to say it. I think Debo Samuel is the hardest tackle in all of football. I watch that dude every week. 4 or 5 guys have to bring him down. He never goes down, which consequentially is why he gets nicked up a lot.
Right.
Fully understand that, but I think he's the hardest tackle in football, which costs him at times. So I think that if I'm going to point at anything, I think Brock Purdy is human, right? That's probably my takeaway from the last 3 weeks.
And Brock Purdy's not a first round draft pick quarterback. There's no, it's just one of those things. And maybe this is good for San Fran. Maybe they're humbled a little and
make them go back to the drawing board and get hungry again.
Listen, something's got to change, right? Because this team looked like a team that couldn't lose.
Yeah.
And now they look like a team where it's like,
how are they going to win?
Can Brock Purdy win the game? Yeah. It's wow. Yeah. 4 turnovers last week.
Yeah. I will be curious to see how things progress with the Chase Young trade because He's been popping off at the mouth a little bit on his way out the door in Washington. And I'm here to tell you, anybody who thinks that he's breaking some sort of news, he's the most undisciplined player in the game. I shouldn't say never. I haven't seen a player as undisciplined as Chase Young since LeVar Arrington. Now, the difference between LeVar Arrington and Chase Young was that LeVar Arrington was a 6'3", 250-pound freak who could run 4.4 sideline to sideline, could put his hand in the dirt and beat you with standing up, beat you in coverage. He could beat you everywhere on the field, but he wouldn't play in a system. We let him get away with it for 6 years, and he was one of the best linebackers in football. Chase Young, on the other hand, misses rush discipline, lets guys escape out the back door. He's solely responsible for at least 600 yards of Jalen Hurts' career rushing total. It's fucking absurd. So, Chase Young, I understand all the problems with this coaching staff, but you can miss me with this whole bullshit that it's the staff that's undisciplined and nobody understands their assignments. It's clear that you don't understand your assignment. I wish you all the best. I was excited about the draft pick. He is a guy with a lot of potential, but if he does that shit in San Francisco, I can promise you they are going to run him right the fuck out the door. They are not going to keep him around if he's doing the same shit he was doing in Washington.
So, okay. So, I think that you're going to end up looking weird over this because he's going to San Fran.
Yeah,
I think San Fran is like where better of a place do you end up if you're Chase Young than San Fran? So
yeah, it ain't too bad being opposite of Nick Bosa.
Now, one thing that I'll back you up here is I remember somebody, and I don't remember who it is. A friend of mine must be somebody I talk football with, and I wish I could remember who. And maybe I'll find out in the next coming weeks. But comparing him to Jadeveon Clowney,
mm-hmm.
And it's what you just said, the undisciplined shit. And I remember being told he only cares about rushing the passer.
Yep.
And I was like, so the fuck what? He's a D end. Like, I want my D end to want to rush. But the things you're just saying, missing running assignments, shit like that, like it's inexcusable. And the guy's a freak. I mean, he's what, like 6'5", 235, 240.
Yep.
Pass around the edge, can get to the quarter. He has 5 sacks this year.
Yeah.
But it's a problem. Tunnel vision.
Yep.
If you're not willing, to play within the scheme, to fit the system, and all you give a fuck about is I'm going to sack the quarterback, maybe a problem. However, I do think San Fran's probably going to fucking make him look so good.
Right. He's probably going to go there and thrive because it's San Fran, and where you said it perfectly. We're better to fix yourself than there, where he's probably going to be asked to just go get the passer, which is fine because they've got Fred Warner behind him.
McCaffrey doesn't even get hurt anymore.
Yeah.
He's just like, we all knew he was really good, but he just got hurt all the time. And he's like, oh, now I'm in San Fran. I just don't even get in anymore.
Healthy as an ox. Oh, all right. Let's see. Where were we? San Fran, Jacksonville. Now we're on to New Orleans, Minnesota. I'm on the island with Minnesota. I don't know what it is. I feel like they're playing better football. I give Dobbs a week. Justin Jefferson might be back. If Justin Jefferson doesn't play, maybe if I knew Justin Jefferson wasn't going to play, maybe I would pick New Orleans here. But I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go with the team that feels like they're playing better football right now. And to me, that's Minnesota. But this isn't one that I would go out. I'm not wagering on this. I'm not wagering on the Vikings.
Yeah, I think this was one where I would have picked Minnesota because they were the home team with Kirk Cousins, and because they don't have Kirk Cousins. And listen, maybe I need to put some respect on Josh Dobbs' name, but yeah, no, that's the sole reason I went with. I thought it was a home field advantage type game with Cousins. So without, I think it's the Saints.
Yeah, that's fair. Green Bay, Pittsburgh. We're all on Pittsburgh. I think we've all come to terms with the fact that Green Bay is not just going to pick right up where they left off with Aaron Rodgers. I do still think Jordan Love can play. I also believe wholeheartedly that they have missed on all of those wide receivers that I think they took out of spite just to kind of stick it to Aaron Rodgers on his way out the door. You never spend any draft capital on wide receivers. Well, we're going to go draft 20 of them, and they're all going to suck. Christian Watson, I think, still has some potential because he's a guy that can get over the top. But I don't know what it is. They can't find him, or he just can't seem to create separation. They've got no threat on the outside. They might be able to run the ball against Pittsburgh, but I don't trust them to be able to score 20 points with the run game against Pittsburgh. And I think that's what you've got to do to beat Pittsburgh. I do think Pittsburgh's going to be able to find 17 or so against this Green Bay defense.
And I think I'm the opposite of you on the wide receivers. Like, I think we agree in principle, but I think that Watson isn't the guy. I think Dobbs is the guy.
Maybe.
I think Dobbs is the number 2. I think they need a 1 to go. Yeah. I think Romeo Dobbs could be a very good number 2 wide receiver with, imagine if they had like a Devontae Adams. Be perfect. I don't think Watson's going to be the guy to be a 1. Maybe he will be a 2 somewhere.
Maybe.
But yeah, I don't think Jordan Love's good. I think Jordan Love makes a lot of like pedestrian mistakes that should have probably been cleaned up in this many years of watching NFL games from the bench, learning from Aaron Rodgers. He throws off his back foot. He reminds me of a guy who is the best athlete, like at like a pickup game.
Yeah.
He can do some shit and get away with it because nobody else is on his level.
Yeah.
But in the NFL, they're all on your level.
Yep.
And he's still doing it. He throws across his fucking body. He throws off his back foot. It's just weird angles, dumb shit. And you can't get away with that.
Yeah.
And if he hasn't broken these habits by now, do I trust him to do so down the road? I don't know. But I will tell you one thing about this week. When I pick Pittsburgh, I think they lose. So I might have fucked us all.
God damn it. I should have known that ahead of time.
I think I picked them twice, and I think they lost both times. So there must have been one time where I picked them and they won, but
maybe
I'm bad at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a good comp with Jordan Love. I think maybe even part of his issues he's having right now is that he probably studied Aaron Rodgers too much, because it looks like he has changed his throwing mechanics and looks like Aaron Rodgers when he throws, right? From a mechanical standpoint. I'm not like, don't get it twisted. He's not Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball. From a mechanical standpoint, he looks similar to Aaron Rodgers. From a decision-making standpoint, it seems like he's trying to do some of the things that we saw Aaron Rodgers get away with, because Aaron Rodgers is one of the more cerebral quarterbacks to ever play the game. He saw the game in ways that guys just don't. Like, it's the GOATs, right? It's Brady, it's Manning, it's now Mahomes, and et cetera. Rodgers is in that conversation. Those guys see the game differently than other quarterbacks. And it feels like Jordan Love is trying to emulate that, and he's not that cerebral guy where he doesn't see the game the way that Rodgers did. So he can't do the things that he's trying to emulate and get away with them, as you put it.
That may be fair. Maybe fair.
All right, we got another lock alert. Raul's not here to defend it, but he's got Bucks -1 against Tennessee. I'm on the Tennessee wagon. I feel like an asshole now because I'm on the other side of both fucking locks for you guys. But I like Will Levis, man. I just do. And the Bucks defense just got laid naked against a rookie quarterback. I think we're going to see some similar this week from Tennessee. I just think Tennessee's going to win this. It's probably going to be a tight battle, but I like what I've seen from Levis. I think Tennessee's defense is good enough to slow down Baker Mayfield and that Bucs offense. But you're on Tampa Bay with Raul. Talk to me.
I picked the home team. I thought this was, again, people are probably like getting tired. Why the fuck does he say that? No, I think, I mean, they're both 3-5. I think they're pretty comparable teams. So there's something wrong with Tampa's defense, though. I don't understand, what's going on there. I thought the defense was going to be much better than this.
It should be so much better.
They did come out with a pretty good rushing attack last week. There was some crazy shit at the end of that game, too. That was another one of these games that I got to see. Thank God for blowout. The switch over. Yeah, there was So I can't remember the exact order. It must have been this one first that it switched over to. So it switched over twice because it switched over from this game and then to the Tampa Bay Houston one. So I actually got to catch like the pivotal. There was actually a crazy moment in the end of this game where there was a fumble.
Yep.
I think Godwin fumbled, and then they had it, and Mike Evans just rips the ball out of the hand. And that was another teachable moment for Bucs fans is the ball can't advance, even though it went like 9 yards up the field. I saw a lot of people like, well, why are they taking the ball backwards? It was because that's
inside of 4 minutes. It's at the spot of the ball.
Yeah, it was another crazy end to a game. But the Tampa defense has got to get right because I think that the offense is limited to what Baker Mayfield can give them, which I don't know what that is. So, yeah, they've got to run the ball more.
Yeah. That defense is bad, man. Jesus Christ. It's
crazy.
Atlanta, Arizona, another turd fest. We got some pretty bad matchups this weekend. Atlanta, Arizona, though, you're on Atlanta. I don't like what I see from Atlanta, man. I probably should back my boy Taylor Heineke, but I fucking hate everything about Atlanta. Worst roster in football, most poorly managed in-game team in football. They seem to find a way to like be in games late, but it's so fucking weird. Atlanta, is this you not trusting Kyler Murray being back?
This is I don't know either because I don't trust Atlanta. This was more of a like the in between the quarterback thing. I don't know if Murray's going to be back. They think Murray's going to be back. If Murray is back, what does that give you? Yeah. And then you've just traded Dobbs. I don't think Atlanta's a good team, but I don't know. I just got a gut feeling on this one that Atlanta's going to pull it off. Maybe they've learned. Maybe they're going to give Bijan the ball 25 times.
Maybe finally. Jesus. Detroit Chargers. I was really surprised to see you on the Chargers. So I went Chargers, home team. I think the Chargers are starting to play better football. I'm really curious to hear your perspective, though, on this. Is this a humble game for the Lions?
No, it's I've been saying it. I think that I'm going to continue to say it.
Atlanta, Arizona ends in a tie.
It's probably pretty fucking solid advice. Bet that tie. No, listen. I said it 2 weeks ago. I think Detroit's a year away, and they got out way ahead of themselves this year. And it's fine. They're winning the games they're supposed to win. Maybe not so much the Chiefs game. That's where this has all come from. They beat the Chiefs opening night of the season in Arrowhead. And listen, they were always capable of beating the Chiefs. I mean, it was always within the realm of possibility. However, even more so than Kelsey and Jones, week one's nuts. Week two is a little crazy.
Always.
So, we don't know. And again, they're a capable team. However, we've watched them give up 38 points to Seattle. They gave up 46 to fucking Baltimore. And they beat up a bunch of bullshit teams. They beat up Tampa. They beat up Atlanta. They fucking beat up Green Bay. These are not good football teams. So while I don't necessarily know what the Chargers are, I said that earlier, I don't know what I'm going to get from them. Detroit's going to have to prove it to me. I have to see it. Go on the road, beat what most people, believe is a good team. They have one of the best running backs in the league, one of the better quarterbacks in the league. They've got Keenan Allen. Let's see it. I mean, if you want to prove something, it's got to be that. 6-2 is fine. And listen, they're going to win the division. They might win 12 or 13 games, not being a very an above average team, but not a great team. They might win 12 or 13 games despite what I'm telling you, because they play a shitty schedule. They don't fucking play anybody, man. Yeah. I mean, if you guys want to go educate yourselves on who the Lions play, they get Chicago 2 times. They got Green Bay again. They got the Vikings twice. Cowboys. That's the Cowboys is their toughest game from here on out. And then, the Cowboys are good, but they play a lot of fucking bullshit teams. They play the Saints still. This is a football team who can be mediocre and roll into 12 wins. So,
yeah.
Take that as you will. But yeah, no, I think they're going to lose this game. And I hope they don't. But we'll see.
Giants, Cowboys. Not a lot to say about this game, except I want to point out that Vegas feels really good about the Cowboys this week. They are 16 and a hook favorites against the Giants. That doesn't happen in the NFL, okay? That doesn't happen in the NFL. However, I think we've got a confluence of things. One, the Cowboys are really good after losses in the Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott era. That's a truth. The Giants are starting Tommy DeVito.
Danny.
They've got a terrible offensive line. Their defense is banged up as well. Saquon is nicked up and doesn't look the same. So I get it, right? Confluence of things coming together. 16.5 is a lot. Anything redeeming about this division game? Do you believe the Giants play them tough?
Gary keeps talking about 16.5 not happening in the NFL. It doesn't happen in the NBA.
Yeah.
It does, but it's uncommon. There's a full slate of games tonight, and I beg you to find me a 16.5.
Right.
I think I saw earlier today that the Bucks over the Pistons were like a 12.
Yeah.
Which is a lot. So, yeah, 16.5 is – you almost want to bet the line because it's fucking disrespectful. But then you're right. Giants, and if DeVito's playing quarterback, you can get something from Daniel Jones, and you could even get something from Taylor. But this kid sucks, man. The first week that he was in the game, they didn't even – it was the Jets game. They wouldn't even pass the ball.
Nope.
They just ran for fucking 2.5 quarters.
Yep. Spoken like a real jaded Cowboys fan.
Yeah. The reality of the situation is they probably win by fucking 21, but
I'll never know that feeling because Washington will never be a 16.5 point favorite. Speaking of Washington, going up to Seattle, you're on the island with Seattle. I'm semi-surprised by that because you've been on the whole Seattle sucks wagon. Yeah. I assume it's the home team thing. I have a stat for you, though. It's funny. Washington is 7-1 in Seattle.
Wow.
It's fucking weird, ain't it?
Now, you know what? This one wasn't even the home team thing for me. Okay. Like that, I wasn't even going to say that this time. I know you've gotten used to me saying that over and over again tonight. But, no, I just – again, I don't think I said – okay, I did.
I exaggerated a little, but
I did. No, I did.
Seattle's not as good as people say they are.
Right. The problem with Seattle was there was so much love and it became too much. So I think Seattle has proven to me that they're slightly better than I thought they were. I also though think the Commanders are a little worse than I thought they were. And I don't know. I feel like Seattle is able to go out there and score points. They're going to be at home. You've just shown me that doesn't fucking seem to mean a lot, but it's still in my brain going to ring true that's going to matter. Yeah, I don't know. I could easily see this being like a 28-17 game, and Seattle just walks away.
Yeah, could be.
What's the line on this game?
I think it was 3.5 Seattle. No, 6.5, I believe. Let me double check. 6.5. Yeah, heavy favorite.
Wow.
I don't think they walk away from him and win by a touchdown. I'm all the way in, man, on Sam Howell. He can play, and
I agree.
If we continue to figure out how to build an offensive line around him. We made changes, and the offensive line has played better the last 2 weeks, and he has shown he can make reads and he can make the throws. He's tough, not afraid to stick his nose in there. He made a run for 24 yards on 3rd and 23 this past weekend, and he ran over a Patriots defender and avoided another one to get that 24 yards. I love this kid, man. I really do. I think that I hate this feeling because I get this feeling as a Washington fan, and I always get let down. But I think we have our quarterback, dude. I think we have our quarterback, and I think we've got the future. I just can't wait to get an offensive-minded guy in here to get rid of this whole fucking Ron Rivera era and just move on from it. But I also fear that we're going to play well enough to keep him around, man.
The enemy, dude. That's going to be your guy.
Yeah. But I'm in. And what I saw from Seattle last week, getting trounced by Baltimore, I don't trust them this week. I think we've got our guy. I think we're going to be able to score. I think the game is going to be close. We haven't really gotten blown out this year either. 6.5 feels like a lot for Seattle, but
I see the Baltimore thing didn't even factor to me because they just been fucking piss pounding people. So like I wasn't even thinking about it. You did say something about Sam Howell being tough. I like Sam Howell. I just used him this week. Didn't help me much because every player on my bench was either out or on a bye. But I think he got me like 20 points. So he was one of my bright spots. But I accidentally found an interesting stat because I was just looking at like quarterback stats the other day. And so Sam Howell is second in the league, right, in passing yards behind Tua. But like the people out there, do you guys know how many times he's been sacked? Sam Howell. So
he's only been sacked 3 times the last 2 weeks too.
Tua has like 100 and we'll call it 140 more yards, right? Passing. He's been sacked 30 less times than Sam Howell. What? Like so I'm looking, Howell was in the top 5, and this was actually before this week.
Yeah.
The stats had filed, so like Howell wasn't even in second then. But I was like, holy fuck. Like, why has he been sacked so many more times than everybody else? So just for quick reference, Tua, 14 sacks. Sam Howell, 44.
Yeah.
Okay, 44. That's 2 4s. Mahomes, 12. Allen, 13. Jalen Hurts is the closest person in fucking proximity to Sam Howell. And Dak Prescott, they're the closest in the top 20. Yeah. And they've been sacked precisely half.
Yeah.
22 times apiece. So Prescott and Hurts have combined for as many sacks as Sam Howell. Sam Howell's been sacked for fucking 293 fucking yards.
41 times through week 7. They've been better the last 2 weeks. Ron made some changes on the O-line.
I had no idea.
Better, but yeah, 41 times through 7 weeks he had been sacked.
I had no idea, and just looking across the numbers, like that stands out.
Back-to-back weeks. We played Chicago and we played the Giants in back-to-back weeks. Both of those teams going into that game each had 5 sacks. Each of those teams finished those 2 games with 5 sacks. Doubled their season total against Washington.
It's crazy. In the top 10 passing yards, there's only 2 people who have eclipsed 20 sacks.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts and Sam Howell. And Sam Howell's double. Like that's fucking some David Carr shit.
It is, but he just keeps playing, man. I got to give it to him.
No, I give it to him too. I was astonished when I saw this.
It's fucking wild, dude. It's wild. We've been, and what's even crazier. So I don't want to get too far sidetracked, but I do want to make this point because there's been a lot of people, even in this area, who've been fucking clueless about the reason for it, right? So I mentioned through week 7, right? 41 times he had been sacked. Do you want to know what his average time to pass was? Allotted time to pass? 2.19 seconds.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine. It's terrible.
Do you know what the average quarterback's time to pass is in the NFL?
Probably 4 something.
2.7.
Oh, it's 2.7?
2.7. Half a second less that Sam Howell was getting. I'm sorry. 2.7 is the average allotted time to pass. The average time to release the pass is like almost 4 seconds. Yeah.
Okay. Jesus Christ. You had
but
what?
We had, after week 7, we had 3. Now, mind you, there's only 5. on a team at any given time. There's only 5 offensive linemen on a team at any given time.
Right.
We had 3 ranked in the top 5 of lost pass blocks, rushes allowed. 3 in the top 5 in the NFL for offensive linemen for rushes allowed after week 7. And everybody in this area wanted to talk about Sam Howell holding the ball too long, holding the ball. I can't tell you how many weeks in a row I tweeted at Brian Mitchell, a Washington legend, tweeted at him because he would be on there saying, Sam's got to get rid of the ball quicker. B-Mitch, are you even watching the fucking game? It's absolutely absurd. There were times he couldn't complete a 3-step drop before somebody was in his lap.
That's just generic. It's ridiculous. A generic answer, though.
It's terrible.
Quarterback's holding the ball.
It's terrible.
That's why I've always contested -2 points for a sack in fantasy football.
Yeah. Yep.
Like it's most of the time it's not even the quarterback's fault.
Yeah.
Awful. I mean, there's rare cases. Ben Roethlisberger, Donovan McNabb, those were guys who caused a lot of their own sacks. But yeah.
Woof. Anyway, diatribe over. Moving on, Vegas and the Jets. I know what I'm going to get from the Jets, but I like what I got from the Raiders last week. I was a little surprised we're all on the same page on this one, but I like what I saw from the Raiders last week. The energy, Antonio Pierce. Looked like the offense had a little bit of juice. I know it was against the Bears, but I liked what I saw. What do you think?
Jets can't score.
Yeah.
The Jets can't score points. Like, I don't know. What am I supposed to do with a team that can't score points? Like, for all intents and purposes, they should have lost against
the Giants.
What the fuck game was it? Huh?
The Giants.
The Giants.
Tommy fucking DeVito.
Right. They should have lost the Bills game early. Like, this team can't score. And I mean, as tough as you can be on defense, it's really fucking hard to hold teams to like 14 points. And God forbid you got to hold them to 10 or less. So
yeah, Jesus Christ.
And I think that's what they have to do. I don't know if the Jets are really capable of scoring more than like 10 or 14.
Nope. I'm with you. Crazy. And we round out the week with our last lock. I'm on the Bills. They're -6.5. The Broncos are really bad. Let's ignore the weird game against the Chiefs 2 weeks ago. Broncos coming off their bye this week. But the Bills, I have to believe that, the Jets just don't have offense, but it's good for the rest of the AFC East, that's for sure. But I have to believe that at some point, they're just going to kind of put down all this talk. It's no more talk. We got to go play. Bills are going to show some pride. It's Denver. It's a home game. It's Monday night. It's an opportunity to really say, let's turn this season around. I'm laying the 6.5 with the Bills, and I'm locking it in. This feels like to me a game that the Bills have to feel like they're going to rebound.
It was almost my pick for my lock. I'm beginning to distrust the Bills a little bit. And as much as I try to like hide the KC game somewhere in my fucking psyche of Denver, I keep seeing it. But this was my second choice. So I think this is a really good opportunity for Buffalo to bounce back and kind of, right the ship a little bit. I have my reservations. I do think Buffalo is going to win the division because, as much as I can criticize about them, I can do the same for Miami.
Sure.
So I have seen some Bills fans lately abandoning the playoff ship. Like, this isn't a playoff team. They're a playoff team. Like, whether they want to be or not, like they're going to win. Back to the attitude, senior. Yeah, no, this is a good place to start. I don't know what the rest of their schedule looks like. I haven't really looked ahead.
It's tough. I saw it laid out, and there was a local writer in Buffalo that basically had them finishing at like 7-9 or 7-10, something 8-9, something like that.
I think that's going to be. I think that's crazy. But
yeah.
What do they have already? 5?
Yeah, they're 5-4. They haven't had their bye yet, I don't think.
I think 7 is just like If you're saying 7 wins, I think you've taken your fucking pants off.
Yeah. So what the guy had? I think he had a win, and a win here in the next 2 weeks, but then like losing out all the way to the Patriots, getting that win, and then losing to the Dolphins. Like he had a real pessimistic approach.
So he had him hitting 7 wins after New York,
and then losing
to Philly, the
Cowboys,
Chiefs,
Chargers.
the Cowboys, the Chargers.
Yep.
Golly.
Yeah.
That's doomsday.
Yeah, he was pretty doomsday.
I think they're going to beat Miami at the end of the year too.
Yeah.
I think
this is a 10-win team, and they probably win the division.
There's no team I'm more off of right now than Miami. Like no good team, no winning team. I'm just no.
I agree. No, I have no trust in Miami going forward. I've seen this story play out. They just can't beat good teams.
And listen, I think Buffalo, they're going to beat the Patriots, obviously. The Jets and the Broncos. I think they're going to beat the Chargers, and I'll eat my shoe if they lose to Philly, KC, and Dallas 3 weeks in a row. If they lose all 3 of those games in a row, I will eat my shoe on the show. Barring some major fucking injury, like 3 weeks in a row, I don't see it.
Yeah, it was a pretty doomsday prediction, but it seems that there is some, as you said it, right? There's some sentiment that there's some people kind of jumping off the wagon. So yeah, Miami, they seem to beat up on bad teams, and they do not seem to be able to figure it out against good teams. It's one of those things. And you said it, right? It's a garage full of Ferraris, but they can't seem to figure out how to get it on the road when there's a good defense in front of them. Yep. Anyway, we made it. We're here. We finished up week 10. Looking forward to a decent week. There's a couple of turds in there, but we got some good matchups this week. Appreciate you joining the show. Appreciate all the comments, the engagement in the chat. Robert, Dad, Aaron, really appreciate it. For everybody here at Backyard Sports, Andy, appreciate you. Raul, get better. We'll see you next week. We are